My dear brothers and sisters, this is one of the gospel classics. I really love this story, and you can use it for anything. You can use it even for a retreat. It's so wonderful what is being expressed in this gospel. It has a lot of things that you could talk about, but I just try to narrow it down and talk about whatever thing and try to talk about that in 7 minutes. So today in the gospel we hear something, a story of a journey of faith. But before I come to that, the importance of touch. The synagogue official comes to Jesus and says, my daughter is at the point of death. Please come and touch him. Come and lay your hands on him. And then we find this woman who has suffered with hemorrhage for 12 years also saying, if only I can touch. So we find the touch of the woman and also the touch of Jesus a source of great healing for both situations. And that's why I remember when we were still in basic formation and we were being sent out to go for hospital ministry for the first time. And I remember our then rector, Father Steve Boto, he said, when you go to the hospital, you talk with any patients and you try to pray with the patients, please make sure you touch that person. It's a great source of healing. And that's why if you go for a funeral and somebody is crying and all that, touch is really, really important. Hugs are very, very important, especially during those situations. We might not know about it, but it brings great healing. Once you talk with somebody and you touch the person, it changes the situation completely. The person feels different when you are just talking than when you touch. At times, you don't even need to say anything. You just need to touch the person. And the person feels great comfort. It happens to me, and I hope it happens to you as well. When somebody touches you, especially when you are in great distress, and you feel like, this touch is like telling you, I am with you, I understand this situation, I understand what you're going through, it's a source of great healing. So Jairus comes to Jesus and says, if only you can come and lay your hands on my son, on my daughter, she would be well again. She would live. That is the first instance. And then this woman, which would ultimately lead to what we want to talk about, this woman says, I know I've spent everything. I've gone to all doctors. I've spent everything that I have. But if only I could touch, not him touching me, if only I could touch him, I think I'll be okay. Now, there were many people who were touching Jesus at the moment, because when this woman had ultimately touched Jesus in the end, and Jesus said, who has touched me? The disciples said, no, everybody is touching you. Everybody is touching you. What is so special about somebody touching you? You can see the crowd is pressing on you. How can you just say somebody has touched you? There was something different about the touch of this woman. And it was a touch of faith. It was not just an ordinary touch. And it's so important, my dear brothers and sisters, that we must pick this up to realize that it is not just about fulfilling what the law says that is important. It's not just to say, okay, I'm going to go for Mass today, and then after Mass is finished. No, there must be something different about the encounter during Mass. There must be something different about the experience we have at Mass. And we must be really disposed, because all these people were following Jesus, but none of them had the faith that this woman had, knowing that if only I can touch him. Others were touching, but without anything in their heart. The same way, we can also receive the Eucharist, for instance, without anything. Everybody's going, it's another morning, we have to receive another Eucharist. It's another morning, we have to do this. No, it is a morning like no other one. It's a time of encounter. I am coming here with faith in my heart that whatever thing I'm asking for, God is going to give me. This woman came with that faith, that miracle walking faith, and said, if only I can touch the cloak of my master, I will be healed. And that is why his touch was different from every other touch. And it depends on the approach that we make towards Jesus, the approach of faith. She went against all odds. The fact that everybody had rejected her, the fact that she had spent everything, she looked away from that and focused towards Jesus. The first reading says something about that. It says, let us keep our eyes focused on Jesus, who is the initiator and perfecter of our faith, in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. And this is what Jesus tells us about in the gospel today, because the same thing happens to Jairus. The moment this woman is done, Jesus is done with this woman. Remember, this woman actually delayed Jesus from going to the house of Jairus. If this woman was not there, maybe Jesus would have met this girl alive. So this woman, Jairus, first comes to Jesus, and then on the way, this woman comes and delays Jesus, and then by the end, people come to Jairus and they say, no, you don't need to worry him again. You don't need to disturb the master because your daughter is dead. It's finished. And these are the kind of temptations, my dear brothers and sisters, that we get, especially when we go through difficult moments. When you hear stories and things that will make you feel like, oh, there is no need trying. It's over. It is not over until you give up. Once you give up, then it's over. Don't give up because it's not over. Once you give up, then it's over. This is what happens to this Jairus. When Jairus is almost giving up, and Jesus says, do not be afraid, just have faith. Don't think about what they are saying. Don't pay attention to that. Focus on me. Focus on what I've said. And when they went to the house of Jairus, people are still there clamoring and all the negative energy. Jesus had to send it out. Get out of this place. And he brought only those with like-minded faith. He said, come in here and we do it. And he touched the child, and the child was healed. My dear brothers and sisters, the focus of this story is really about faith. Faith that should go beyond what people think. Faith that should go beyond what you yourself think. Because faith is not by what we see, it is not by what is logical, it is something beyond that. If only we can approach Jesus like this woman, if only we do not give up like Jairus did never give up, especially when she got the news that her daughter was dead. Death is an end. It says, once somebody is dead, he cannot come back to life. And at that moment, it was easy for Jairus to give up. But he never gave up. He focused on the fact that Jesus was still coming to the house. He focused on the word of Jesus, not on the word of the other people, when Jesus said, do not be afraid, only have faith. And I think this is a line that we could take with us home, that in spite of whatever thing that we are going through, at times this thing brings a lot of fear in us, and we say, how are we going to ever get out of this? This situation has been persisting for a very long time. We have tried everything that we could to get ourselves out of this. Yes, we cannot get ourselves out of it, but God can get us out of it, because with God, all things are possible. The woman had tried everything in her power to get healed. She spent everything, and the situation was getting worse because she was trying it by herself. And at times you come to that situation where we try and we try to get it, but we can't get it. Jesus is telling each and every one of us today, do not be afraid, only have faith. Faith in what? Faith in Jesus. Faith in the God who can make impossible things possible. Faith in the God with whom nothing is impossible. Faith in the God who created us, who has our life in his hands, and who has the final say to the situations of our lives. Let us therefore continue to hold on to this God of ours. Let us continue to cry out to him with faith in our hearts, and that whenever we pray, let us believe that it has been done for us, and it will always be ours.